Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, October the 23rd, 2024. Wednesday, October the 23rd. Well, this is going to be a short recap because not a lot happened today at all. It's almost like this was a filler episode. Um, Anna stops in to see Robert. Um, I think she was going to tell him about Sidwell, but she saw Robert, the expression on his face. He was looking out the window. And when he turned around and she goes, Robert, and he goes, you know, don't you? And she goes, that you have another daughter? Yes. So they talk, you know, and the way he was talking, she goes, you're going to forgive her, aren't you? You know, and let's face it, Robert forgives Holly everything, absolutely everything. So we have Holly, speaking of her, she goes to see Sonny, dropping Luke's name, and oh, drop Jason. I was instrumental in helping Jason and Anna bring Lucky home. And Sonny's like, it's interesting. Jason never mentioned your name to me. So she was trying to charm him with her English accent and, kind of in his face about, wanting a deal because he says, look, somebody must be missing those diamonds, especially since you are looking for an unconventional way of selling them. So she goes, no, I mean, I went through a lot of work to acquire them. And Sonny says, well, you know what? I could see what I could do for you for 30% of the cut. I mean, of the take. And she said, 30%? I'm the one that took all the risk in getting them. And he says, and I'll be the one assuming the risk in selling them. He goes, you wouldn't be here if you could move them on your own. And she just looked, and that's where he goes, she gets kind of, oh, well, I think we need to, first try our little arrangement out, that's a little steep for the first time that we'll be working together. And then if everything, I can't do her English accent, if everything goes well, then we'll see. And she's like, and he goes, charming, beautiful, charming, great English accent. And he looked at her, he goes, you are not my type. And he turned and walked away and went back around to his side of his desk. And she just looked at him like, oh, that didn't work. And he, Sonny gives that grin with them dimples, like, next. And so she says, well, you know what? Would you mind if I take some time to think about your proposal? He goes, just don't take too long. And she leaves, and when she goes back to her hotel room, Anna is in there. And she's like, does the police commissioner make it a habit of breaking and entering into, the citizens' rooms, civilians' rooms? And Anna said, yes, when Sidwell is involved. And she said, so you know what? She didn't that remember I said yesterday, did Anna get the information, the call or the bulletin on Sidwell before or after Holly left? It must have been after. She goes, Interpol has just spotted Sidwell in Miami. And she goes, oh, and the pilot that flew us out, oh, he's dead. He's been murdered, and the plane ransacked. So Sidwell is looking for something. You don't have any idea what that might be. What? No. So she goes, Holly, be careful. So Anna called Jason and she told Jason, actually, before she went in to see Robert, about Sidwell. And she goes, call me when you get this message. So, she'll have a talk with Jason later. Then we have Geo. He comes to check on Trina because Trina left the party. And she's all nervous and scared. She insisted on going home. Portia wanted her to come to her house, and she's going home. So Geo comes to check on her. She's got a little meat tenderizer in her hand, and I'm like, "Girl, if you are that scared, you should go to your mama's house." So she goes, "Who is it?" And he goes, "It's Geo." Now, mind you, Rick said Heather won't be released till tomorrow. I don't know why she's so scared right now, right? So they talk, and Geo ends up saying, "You know what? Instead of sleeping in that scary, drafty mansion, big old mansion, can I sleep here on the couch?" And Trina's like, "Sure," because she wanted some company. Because Lord knows if Jocelyn's gonna come home, and guess what? Jocelyn isn't. She's at Dex's, and Dex is vowing to protect her no matter what. Heather will never get close to her again, which, okay, we all could say a whole lot of that stuff, right? And so they end up hitting the sheets. So Jocelyn is not going to come back home. Portia and Curtis are back and forth, back and forth. And Portia's like, "We're going to make her come home." She goes, "We can't force Trina to do anything." And then she goes, "Well, then Heather and Trina cannot be in the same town. We're going to send Trina out. We're going to send her out of town." And Curtis says, Portia, I doubt if Trina wants to transfer schools, quit the job she loves, and leave town. She's not going to go for it. So she goes, "Well, we got to do something, Curtis." And he goes, "Okay, then Heather Weber's going to leave town." Because Portia had said Heather has a grandson. She's going to want to stay here close to her grandson, which is exactly what she's going to want to do, right? But let's face it, Laura did all this, wanting to open up Heather's case, wanting to do all of that. But once Heather shows up on Laura's door, let's see how much access Laura's going to give Heather to Ace. Thus, Heather's going to steal Ace and just run away, kidnap him. Because remember, Laura and Kevin have adopted Ace, so he is legally theirs. But I think Heather's going to steal him. And this is what's going to have Ace off of the show for a period of time because the actress that plays Heather is never on the show for too long. So I think she'll be back for a short stint, and then Heather's going to be on the run with baby Ace. But after she gets a huge settlement from the medical company that made that hip replacement that gave her the cobalt. So she's going to get her big payday and be able to be on the run and hiding and everything, with little Ace. So last but not least, oh no, not last but not least, um, Isaiah was studying, excuse me, y'all, for the operation. Lucas is studying for the operation as well. And they talk. And then TJ ends up, after leaving the party, he goes to work. He's like, "I got to go to work." He didn't have to go to work. He told Lucas, "Better than going home." And Lucas says, "I've been there. At least you could check on patients." He goes, "And do some good." He says, "Molly and I," he says, it's just we're just grown apart. He says, "She tried tonight, really tried to be there for the family, but her father got Heather Weber released, and Molly was pretty quick to jump to his defense." She goes, "I haven't seen Molly react that quickly, uh, unless, for anything we have gone through." But she was passionate about her father, whatever, defending her father. So he's like, "No, I would do best here, So Lucas says, yeah, I mean, my situation was different, but you know, I understand losing a child. And so he goes, and ultimately Brad and I could not, I could not get past that. And so TJ said, do you miss him? He goes, yeah, sometimes I used to, but what's done is done. So now we have Rick goes to see Molly, and she's upset about him telling him he needs to drop Ava's case, right? And he goes, I can't, you know, I'm going to make sure she gets the best defense. And she goes, my baby, Irene would be here if it wasn't for Ava. She's kind of like, this is a slap in my face. And he's like, no, your baby would be here if Christina never went there. And she goes, that's true. But only one person ended up out a window, and it wasn't Christina. And he goes, Molly, I'm taking Ava's case for you. And she goes, how could you figure that? She goes, Ava Jerome has to pay. And he goes, just by those statements alone, you're out for just vengeance and anger. He goes, I have been there, that somebody has to pay somebody, and you're consumed with it. He says, I am going to present the evidence, Molly, and I am going to do my best because you're a lawyer and you are going to see that that was a tragic accident. So you don't want to see it now. But once I lay out the facts and I present the case, he goes, Molly, you'll see it. And then you will finally be able to be on the road to healing. That's why I'm doing this. And she just looked at him. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? That actually made sense, Rick. And that was a fatherly thing to do. Wow, go for it. So anyway, let's go to Comment Corner, because nothing else happened. Today we had 69 comments, so I scrolled down and I think I stopped right here in the middle. I'm going to go from the middle down. Okay. Now, Aisha said, there are good reasons for excluding relatives from participating in a patient's operation. Sam should have known better than to bring it up and put Lucas in that position. I know. Anyone who's ever watched a medical drama on the court of three or the count of three says it to me. 3, 2, 1. There's no such thing as a routine surgery. Exactly. Things happen. Latrice says, exactly. That is Hospital Rule 101. Doctors are not allowed to treat or operate on family members. You are correct. There is definitely no such thing as a routine surgery. Complications happen all the time in routine surgeries. Sam already put Lucas in a bad position, as he's going to be devastated if she dies on the table. I really hope the writers don't have her die under his watch. But sadly, that looks like the direction they're going in. I think that she will either die during the surgery or from complications after. I think it's going to be complications after, right? We'll see. I don't know. We're going to find out this week. And then Lucy says Rick Lansing took Heather's case and won. Now he can go after the big bucks, yep, and sue the medical equipment manufacturer. That's exactly what he's going to do. DeVette says, listen, they can hook those two together. Wait, they can hook those two together, but the one's going to screw the other, and the other will get crazy revenge plots in crazy times. You mean, yeah, Well, Heather's gonna, well, no, I think she's gonna skip town with Ace. Care Bear says, so crazy Heather is free. And Rick is like, it ain't my fault. I didn't set her free on purpose. Come on, Rick. And then Kimberly says, um, she, she did not know that Sidwell is in town. Anna said, it is time for you to get out of town. Well, Anna told her today, the guy that she stole, who's going to be on her butt. Yeah, stole Sidwell. Yeah. Care Bear says, Rick has only one goal in life, to make Sonny suffer no matter how. And Georgetta says, reason I love him. Whoa, you love Rick Lansing? Georgetta says, the reason I really like him, Sonny has been a criminal for 30 years. Why idolize him? Well, guess what? Rick Lansing has done a whole lot of criminal things too, including wanting to take over his criminal brother's organization. So, no, Rick is absolutely no saint. Kimberly says she went to see Sonny as well, to sell Sonny the diamonds, or she wants really Sonny to sell those diamonds for her. Kimber says Leopard never changes its spots. Rick never changes. Ava never changes. They deserve each other. They are two snakes. DB says Rick times Alexis equals big trouble. Chrissy says it was absurd that Ava was saying to Nina, people change. We both know it. None of them hate change, have changed a bit. None of them. Not Ava, not Nina, not Rick. Wendy says, wonder if Heather is going to have a lot of money along with her freedom. After Rick wins her that court case, she sure will. And Georgetta says, I'm sure she can sue the state or someone, or sue the company that made the defective. The state didn't do that. The company that made the defective hip probably. Wendy says, I don't know. I didn't know Marshall was leaving, and Sam should know she's about to die. Everyone's rolling up on her like it's the last time. Rick is a piece of work, asking Elizabeth to go with him to drop that bomb on Curtis and his family. I was so glad she didn't go with him. He's trouble. Anna's got nerve playing Mother Teresa. She was barely around for Robin, running around being a lame 007. Hardly ever around for Robin. Don says, I'm Team Molly when it comes to Christina, but I'm Team TJ against Molly. At the end of the day, TJ lost two children. Yes, they're supposed to be their children, but they were his biological children, and she treated him like it's his fault. I don't like where they're taking Molly. They're going to try to put Molly and Dex together soon enough. Sky says, does anyone speak English anymore? Just asking. And then Annette says, no. Yeah, Anita says, laughing faces. And then Lisa says, I would think if Brooklyn had a baby in the past, it would have been mentioned around the time Jill showed up. I don't know. Every time he talks about his mother, Lois and Brooklyn make a strange look on their face, like they are hiding something. Wouldn't Brooklyn have said something to Chase, though? Drew is too busy chasing Willow than to raise a dog, much less his own child Scout. That is definitely true. P. Merrill says, can we please give Portia and Rick the Jack Donkey? Oh, I see. Of the Jack Donkey of the Year award. Was Heather's liberation from prison an appropriate topic at Marshall's going away party? Thank God Marshall and Stella had already left, because Marshall would have stayed, right? That is so true. We could have heard a rat pee on cotton when they made the announcement. Do you think Laura will let Heather move in? No, I don't think so. She better not. Then Wendy says they have made her such a wimp. She might just do that. Marla says, I find it interesting that Heather is being released around the same time Sam is supposed to die. Is that going to do something? Is that going to do something to her? No, I don't think, no. Heather has no reason to do something to Sam. Georgetta says Rick wanted to do it in private. Yes, he did. Queen Portia wanted it done in front of everyone. Curtis offered his office. And DB says, yes, sis, he can watch Ace. Who's he can watch Ace? I don't know that. And then Lisa says, Rick caused this mess with getting Heather released tomorrow. She should have spent more time for all of them, for all of those murders. It is not all done after, it was not all done after a hip replacement. Just wrong, and this is Laura's fault. She started it. Well, Heather's been doing some crazy stuff, but remember, they ended up saying, oh, it was in her 20s that she had the skiing accident. But Heather was Heather in her early 20s, and she didn't have no skiing accident. That's something they wrote in. Wendy says she had been nuts since the late 1980s. And Georgetta says, yes, Laura started it all. And then Chrissy says, I hope Heather gets access to baby Ace. That will be Laura's comeuppance. Yes. And that is the 10 minutes for Comment Corner. Thank you for your comments, everybody. Thank you for your comments. Remember, today I started from the middle down. I'll be back tomorrow. I think we should ramp into something good because Friday, I think, is really going to be good. So I'll be back tomorrow for another daily recap of General Hospital.